With the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation and its promise of freedom for all people under the protection of the Constitution, many feel to this day that ended the story of slavery in our country. With the end of the Civil War, that the years of slavery were over, that the pains of the past have been healed, and everyone is on equal footing. That now we can move on and live the American dream.
Over the decades, we, as a society, have continued to pay the price for our national negligence to the pain of the past. Jumping into an analysis of our nation's history and attempting to understand the experiences of those who went before us, how those experiences have been never fully addressed by our nation, can be our first steps.
Immediately following the Civil War, barricades were put in place to prevent recently freed slaves from becoming equal members of the societies that they now belong to as free people. These laws, known collectively as Jim Crow laws, began during the post-Civil War period known as Reconstruction and lasted into the Civil Rights era of the 1960s.
Separate but equal became the new norm below the Mason-Dixon line. Beyond a basic understanding of segregation activities, however, certain facts have been misrepresented, often intentionally, to the citizens of our nation.
These misrepresentations, hidden under the guise of memorializations in the form of statues and monuments to Confederate icons, serve as constant evidence, reminding the descendants of former slaves the challenges faced by their ancestors that many struggle to overcome. Furthermore, it also provides a frustrating reminder that despite overcoming those challenges, many have not achieved full equality in their civil rights to this day.
In recent national discourse, the removal of Confederate monuments has been hotly debated. On the surface, defenders of the monuments claim they were erected during Reconstruction as an attempt towards healing after the brutality of the Civil War. But let's take a closer look.
As it turns out, many monuments weren't created during Reconstruction at all. In fact, it has historically been during times of strife that more Confederate monuments were erected. Few were made as symbols of memorialization immediately following the Civil War. Rather, they coincided with times of great civil unrest, weaponized to combat advancements made by civil rights activists, including the expansion of voting rights, race riots, and the civil rights movement.
For example, although it began to be carved in the early part of 1915, the Stone Mountain Confederate Memorial had run into financing troubles during construction. In 1958, in response to a rising civil rights movement, Georgia purchased Stone Mountain and finished the largest Confederate memorial in the country. This move was a direct reply to the recent Brown versus Board of Education victory. The Stone Mountain carving is larger than Mount Rushmore.
Recently, more and more citizens have expressed their rage at the existence of systemic racism in our police and legal system. The statistics speak for themselves. Despite making up less than 14% of the general population of the United States, African Americans account for over 34% of the total population of our nation's prisons and jails, while white inmates account for only 29%.
African Americans experience violence at the hands of American police at substantially higher rates than citizens of other races, and these crimes are rarely, if ever, prosecuted.
Protests across the country have been stirring dialogue that seeks to recognize the influence of the complex history of race relations on the way that systemic violence is accepted and ignored today.
Only in overcoming the intentional historical erasure and false narratives of the past, and embracing and confronting the truth of the past of race relations in the United States, can we hope to find a way forward, a path to true equality for all.